in some websites, nagpa-pop up ito. Kagaya nung sa Konosuba video kanina, di ba? Websites are mandated to tell you that they are processing your information correctly and in compliance with the law. That you should not be worried about their handling of personal information of your data because sumusunod sila sa batas. Now, this one is a data privacy office shown in a government website. In particular, the website of the Department of Education. Nire-require kasi ang mga entities na nagpa-process ng personal information to give these kinds of notices. Hindi pa pwedeng wala nito. Kailangan meron ito. So, for example, here, the DepEd is informing you, anybody who browses the website, na in pursuance with the mandate given to DepEd, this government office, they need to collect certain data, including personal information, from various subjects using different systems. So different systems meaning whether computerized or through pen and paper, face-to-face, diba? Once you are made to fill out a form, they are also collecting information. So not necessarily, no? Let me make it clear, no? Hindi kinakailangang through a computer or through a smartphone ang collection and processing of information. It can be done the old school way. Kasi hindi naman nagbabago yung nature ng information sa pagkaalinsabay ng pagbabago ng medium. Okay? Hindi porke sinusulat mo siya sa papel, eh hindi na personal information yung pangalan mo. It remains the same. Alright? Kaya mayroong ganitong caveat from various subjects using different systems. Now, next paragraph, yung commitment. In the processing of these data and information, DepEd is committed to ensure the free flow of information as required under the Freedom of Information Act. Take note, as a government offices, of course, they also have to comply with the FOI Act, EO number 2 series of 2016. Kasi when you are dealing with a government office, merong certain species of information that they are required to send out, that they are required to reveal, that they are required to disseminate to interested persons. Now, FOI aside, the DepEd in this notice, no, is also committed to protect and respect the confidentiality and privacy of these data and information as required under the Data Privacy Act. Now, no, request for data and information, of course, FOI. Let us skip to the fourth paragraph. Only authorized DepEd personnel have access to personal information collected, the exchange of which will be facilitated through email and web applications. These will be stored in a database in accordance with government policies, rules, regulations, and guidelines. More often than not, itong authorized DepEd personnel na ito, this is a reference to what we call a DPO or a data privacy officer. Now, both public entities, government offices, o di kaya naman mga private entities like businesses, whether big or small, mga MSMEs natin, nire-require na mayroong somebody who is competent in data privacy. And for the bigger businesses, meron talaga silang posting, meron silang posisyon na DPO. Kailangang merong data privacy officer. Like for example, I'm sure DepEd has a data privacy officer. The office I am in, the government office I am working at, may DPO din kami. PhilPost, the Philippine Post Office, Philippine Postal Corporation, meron din silang data privacy officer. So required yan, no? There must be an assurance for the people who need to give out their information, that their info will be handled by authorized persons only. Na ang impormasyon nila ay hindi kung saan mapupunta. So that's the gist of a data privacy notice. Now, of course, there are pieces of information that fall beyond the pale or outside the data privacy. First, information about any individual who is or was an officer or employee of a government institution. But not just any information regarding a government employee. The information must relate to the position or functions of the individual. So anything related to official functions ng isang government employee, whether incumbent or former. Next, information about an individual who is or was performing service under contract for a government institution that relates to the services performed. So yung mga tipong hindi siya regular government employee, job order lang. So ibig sabihin, for a limited time lang ang kanyang pagseserbisyo sa gobyerno. So information pertaining to that period of time na nagsisilbi siya in relation to his or her actual job in the government, hindi yan siya sensitive information, hindi yan siya personal information. Pwede siyang i-reveal. Actually covered ng freedom of information. Now, next one. Information relating to any discretionary benefit of a financial nature. So for example, merong business na inisyuhan ng mayor's permit. So the fact of the granting of that license or permit given by the government to this particular person, hindi siya falling within the Data Privacy Act. Next one, personal information originally collected from residents of foreign jurisdictions in accordance with the laws of those foreign jurisdictions, including any applicable data privacy laws which is being processed in the Philippines. All right? Kasi, like I said earlier, in this increasingly online world, we are gradually being made to connect not only to people, to other people within our country, but also those who are overseas. So there is personal information being processed in the Philippines that are collected outside of the Philippines. Okay? Now, if it is collected overseas in compliance with data privacy laws doon sa lugar nila, pwede na siyang mag-constitute as an exception to the Data Privacy Act that we have here. Okay? Now, next one. Personal information processed for journalistic, artistic, literary, or research purposes. Information necessary in order to carry out the functions of public authority. Take note, I have highlighted it in red because we will be dealing with it in the next slides. All right? And finally, information necessary for banks and other financial institutions. All right? Pag hiningi ng bangko, mayari magbubukas ka ng account, hiningan ka ng certain pieces of information, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin sa bangko na, "Heps, that's personal information." If it is the bank which demands, exception siya to the Data Privacy Act. So yun, babalik tayo dito sa information necessary in order to carry out the functions of public authority. Kasi ito yung talagang, I would think, ito yung bone of contention lately, especially during this time of COVID. Like for example, this one. Naging data privacy issue, yung pangungulekta ng DOH, ng IATF, ng information from interested persons through contact tracing. People were concerned that they are being made to indicate personal information. Kanilang mga pangalan, mga contact details, addresses, di ba? Now, when you think about it, mahalaga naman yung impormasyon na yon in order for the IATF to make the appropriate tracking. No? Paano mo nga naman malalaman O paano mo nga naman mai-inform yung mga nakatabi sa sasakyan, mga nakasama sa eroplano nung nag-positive sa COVID? Paano mo nga naman sila makokontak kung hindi nila iiwan yung kanilang contact details? Paano mo sila mapupuntahan o mapapabalitaan kung hindi nila i-indicate yung kanilang address? Paano mo sila mahanap sa social media in order to contact them kung hindi mo alam ang pangalan nila? So there is a balancing act by the government between public interest and data privacy. Ngayon, ang sabi ng National Privacy Commission, ang Data Privacy Act hindi yan hadlang sa contact tracing initiatives. Kasi basically, what the Data Privacy Act does with regard to the information of ordinary individuals like us is basically to protect us from discrimination, harassment, and acts of social vigilantism. Sabi ng Privacy Commissioner Raymond Liboro, sabi ni Commissioner Liboro, and I quote, "The DPA or the Data Privacy Act should not be used as an excuse for not providing COVID patient data necessary for LGU contact tracing that we need to combat the pandemic." Because actually, it falls under the exceptions. Balikan natin. Information necessary in order to carry out the functions of public authority. Kailangan siyang i-disclose. Hindi siya covered by data privacy. Because sometimes, the state, the government needs your information in order for it to better protect you. In order for it to better protect us. Like in this context, contact tracing. How can we have effective contact tracing if people are not willing to give out their information? But of course, the NPC drew the line with the matter of disclosing to the public the names of COVID-positive individuals. Doon sinabi ng National Privacy Commission na teka muna. Like what we said, the point behind the Data Privacy Act is that we need to protect people from discrimination and harassment. So it's good that the government is in possession of the information it needs for contact tracing. Pero siguro hindi na natin dapat i-reveal sa madlang people to the general public yung pangalan ng mga nag-positive. Of course, this was in 2020. Na kung saan, di ba? At this point in time, we had what? Less than 500, less than 1,000 positive cases na meron pang stigma na kapag nagka-COVID ka, di ba? Hindi lang yung parang nasakluban ka ng langit at lupa, parang hinuhusgahan ka pa ng mga tao sa paligid mo na ay may COVID siya. Nakakahiya in a sense, and therefore, sabi ng NPC, let us not add salt to the wound. Wag na nating i-divulge sa publiko yung mga pangalan ng mga nag-positive. Now, it's another matter if yung mismong mga tao nagsabi, ganun ang naging trend later on. Nung medyo dumami-dami na yung cases, people have been coming forward and saying, for example, in a public FB post or siguro through an interview na I'm positive or nag-positive ako but I'm okay now. I was infected with COVID. People have been coming forward, which is good ultimately to prevent the stigma from growing. Pero itong time na to, at this point in time, the NPC found it dangerous for the DOH and the IATF to out COVID-positive people. So while on one hand, okay, dapat hindi na sa-stifle yung efforts ng gobyerno sa pangongolekta ng information because it serves a public purpose. And besides, it's an exception to data privacy. It is not covered by data privacy regulations. But we should not drag people to unwarranted controversy by revealing the names of positive individuals offhandedly. All right? So yan, that's one issue. I want you to take a look at this Privacy Policy Office Advisory Opinion number 2017-36. Medyo let's go back in time here. Dito, merong sumulat sa NPC asking if, among others, yung work-related personal data like your work email or your personal mobile number, kung protected ba siya ng data privacy. Ang sabi ng NPC, I highlighted it, no, the relevant citation for EC Perusal. Sabi, work-related personal data such as work email address and employee number may be considered as personal information. Ganon din ang contact details, mobile number. Because, no, it's personal information because from these pieces of information, when put together, you can single out the identity of a particular individual. You know, the work email, a work email only pertains to a single person. Ganon din ang employee number, yung work contact number, personal mobile number. Pag pinagsama-sama mo yan, bring them all together, they all point to a specific individual, to a single person. And therefore, all of these fall within the ambit of personal data or personal information na mayroong protected status under our Data Privacy Act. Now, I would like you to hold that thought, okay? Ang personal mobile number as work contact, personal information yan. Protected by data privacy. Tandaan nyo. Okay? Now, take a look at this. This is a message, a text message I received. Now, you may or may not have received a similar text message. Of course, no? Pare-pareho sila ng scheme, pare-pareho sila ng gimmick na merong job opportunity for you which is high paying and then you click this link. If you take a look at the numbers, mapapansin niyo local yung country code +63. That's the country code for our country, the Philippines. So ibig sabihin lahat to mga domestic, no? Local numbers yan. Hindi yan overseas. Kaya can afford nating replyan, no? Like I did. Now, this text message among many others, no? Ang dami kong natatanggap, nabubuwisit nga ako. Itong mga numbers na to, itong mga messages na to, natanggap ko lang to after kung mag-fill out ng mga contact tracing forms. I don't give out my work number to anybody, no? Maliban sa mga clients, maliban sa aking mga workmates, sa aking mga boss. I never really gave it, and I would never give it out to just about anybody. But here's the thing. Noong nauso yung contact tracing forms, like sasakay ako sa P2P bus, nagpapa-fill out ng form. So, you know, like a citizen who wants to do his part to combat the pandemic, isusulat ko pangalan ko, isusulat ko yung address ko, isusulat ko yung aking contact details, my work number. Pag pumasok ako sa 7-Eleven, ganun din. May contact tracing sheet. I write my name, I write my address, I write my contact number. Pupunta ako sa mall nung nagbukas na ng konti yung mga mall. Meron din silang either a website, parang Google Forms na kailangan mong i-fill out. You tap your name, you tap your address, and then you give your mobile number. Or, literal na contact tracing sheet, ganun din ang isusulat mo. Pangalan, address, contact details. Pag pupunta kang National Bookstore, meron din silang sariling contact tracing sheet that you also have to fill out. Noon ang restaurant, Jollibee for instance, meron din silang contact tracing sheet. The smaller restaurants, like one time, a friend visited me here in Cavite. Kinakita ko sa SM Molino, kumain kami sa isang spaghetti place. Meron ding contact tracing sheet. We filled it out. So bilang ko, no, lahat ng mga establishments na kung saan ibinigay ko yung aking contact details. So I know the bigger ones, the malls, the restaurants, the bookstores. Sometime after nung contact tracing surge, I don't know if the people involved just gave up kasi apparently mukhang nagiging endemic na yung COVID. So probably they thought na it's a moot exercise. What's the use of contact tracing when practically at this point in time everybody probably had COVID at some point? Probably you just don't know. Kasi if you're vaccinated, you're shielded from the worst of it naman. So why continue contact tracing? So kung mapapansin niyo, kapag kayo'y gumala, bibihira na yung merong contact tracing form. All that you need to do, iwas-iwas mo yung vaccination card mo and that's your ticket. Papasok. Now of course, habang bumababa yung alert level, even that, hindi na minsan hinihingi. Minsan nakakalimutan ko yung vaccination card ko. Lalabas ako, no, mula sa office. Bibili ako ng kape elsewhere. Either pupunta akong Greenbelt or sa malapit na 7-Eleven or Ministop, bibili akong kape. Sometimes makakapasok ako doon, hindi ko dala yung vaccine card ko. Hindi naman din nila hinihingi. Alright? But naibigay ko na yung number ko sa lahat ng mga establishments na to. And for some reason, later on, makaka-receive ako ng ganitong mga text. Now, of course, I gave it some thought. No? How was it na ngayon tinetext ako nitong mga scammers na to? Sometimes twice a day. Mga siguro 3 to 4 times a week. Wala naman akong pinagbigyan ng mga numbers ko other than these establishments. And the context in which I gave my contact details is that it is needed for contact tracing. But how is it that these scammers, these fishers, kasi phishing, ito yung tinatawag na phishing, no? Masquerading as something legitimate, a job opportunity, na kung saan kapag kinlik mo yan, there will be, something that would happen to you. Something that you would not like. No? I would not know kasi I haven't clicked any of these links anyway. But to get the idea, connecting the dots, there was only one way na nakuha nitong mga scammer na to, yung number ko. And while it's a conclusion that I would rather not want to be true, mukhang yun nga ang nangyari. At some point, someone probably screwed up, sold our information to some unscrupulous people, and now these unscrupulous people have been continuously engaged in a scamming operation, scamming their own people. This is a data privacy breach, at least to my mind. And I would think that the National Privacy Commission agrees with that assessment. Because in fact, last year, November 23, 2021, NPC summoned the data privacy officers of Globe, of Smart/PLDT, the DPOs of the big banks and e-commerce platforms. Ipinatawag sila. Paano nangyari to? They were made to explain. How is it that people are receiving these kinds of texts on the daily? And apparently, one of the possible reasons that were floated in this meeting is that mayroong global syndicate na engaged in these phishing, in these scamming operations. Which is well and good. Okay, I can accept that. But that does not answer the ultimate question. Which I don't know, probably something that wasn't publicized. Or probably something that wasn't talked about. I wouldn't know. I wasn't at that meeting. But the ultimate question remains looming. Paano napunta sa global syndicate yung mga numbers? Were they able to surreptitiously take possession of those information? Of that information? Paano nila nakuha? Nahack ba nila? Or did somebody willingly give it to them? Or more probably, something that I would rather, begrudgingly believe in. Somebody sold it to them. And so, ano na lang ang naging suggestion ng NPC ultimately? For subscribers, for the people basically to take maging reaksyonaryo. That's the gist of the NPC suggestion. Oh, nare-receive nyo na itong mga scam messages na to, unsolicited text messages na mayroong potential malware. It might steal your data if you click the link. It might defraud you, no? You might lose your money. Ganito na lang ang gawin ninyo. You just block those numbers. But again, reaksyonaryo. Why are we not addressing the problem at its core? We wouldn't know. And like I said, contact tracing is dying down. If not, outright, hindi na ginagawa. Considering the short-term memory of most people, makakalimutan din natin to. Siguro mananawa din yung mga scammers, either that or magiging endemic na rin yan na parang COVID, something that will just accept as a fact of life. And considering na hindi naman naipasa yung one SIM card law, one mobile number law, no? Na kahit na anong SIM card mo pwedeng same number pa rin. It could probably be just as easy as, let's just throw our SIM cards away tapos magsipagpilian tayo ng bago. And let's just hope na itong bagong number mo hindi reassigned number. Kasi mobile networks, they tend to reassign old numbers to new subscribers. Umasa ka na lang na hindi siya reassign para hindi ka makaka-receive ng mga spam messages. But again, reaksyonaryo. It is best to approach the problem at the core. How was it that personal information in the custody of these entities who are duty-bound under the Data Privacy Act to take care of our personal information, paano nangyari at napunta dito sa sindikatong itong mga contact numbers natin? Hindi ba it is provided under the Data Privacy Act na kinakailangang maayos ang pag-process sa information na yan? Haven't we just discussed it earlier? Then why did this happen? Now the question will be, will the Data Privacy Act be true to its mandate in keeping our personal information safe? Unfortunately, hindi ko yan masasagot with a yes. Considering this. Considering how the government's response to what I think is a very grave and serious issue. Considering how the government's response is reactionary and lukewarm. It breaks my heart to say this as I work in government. But yeah, I guess only time will tell. And that wraps up our discussion on data privacy. Our next topic would be the most entertaining one. Sabi nga nila, papunta pa lang tayo sa exciting part. Nye, di ba? For our next video, we will be talking about intellectual property. So see you in the next one.